This year, I started on NetGalley, which is a site where you can obtain free advanced reader copies, or ARCs as they're also known, of upcoming books in exchange for an open and honest review. Now, I knew I wanted to do a video based on sort of summer stroke holiday vibes, but also maybe traveling to new destinations. So here are the books that I was approved for that fitted with this theme. Some of the books are from auto-buy authors for me, and others are from authors that are actually new to me. In addition, all were ARCs at the time of receiving the books, but obviously some have now been officially published. I'm going to review them in the order of how I read them. I'll give a brief synopsis of the story, some of the tropes, what I liked or didn't like about the book, and also who I think would love it. So the first book was Dolly All The Time by Annabelle Monaghan. Dolly and her son Gus moved back to Whitfield, Rhode Island to help out their family for the summer. Dolly comes across Stuart Whitfield, and the Whitfields founded the town, by the way, and she helps him to change a tyre on his car. What they don't realise is they're actually being photographed, and so the newspaper spins a story that they're a new couple. Stuart proposes a deal to Dolly and says if she actually goes along with the story and pretends that, she's his new love interest, then he will actually give her whatever she wants or needs in return. So here's what worked for me. I really liked Dolly as a character. She's really warm and giving, plus she's got so much energy. There is a pretty woman style sort of a deal, so there's a makeover, there's new clothes, etc. Plus there is a character called Christopher, and the scenes that he's in are really lovely. But there are some sad parts, and there is one point that one of the characters did disappoint me a little bit, but no spoilers. I rated this book 4.75 stars, and actually, this is my favourite read of the authors so far. I think you'd like this book if you like characters that are warm, with heart and strength. So, the next book I read was Have a Great Summer by Francesca Cosci. Now, Lena Mariano is stuck in her hometown still. Admittedly, lovely holiday destination, New Jersey, but still. Now, she's writing about weddings currently, but she'd like to branch out into other journalism. And her boss says she'll consider giving her the promotion after the next wedding that she does. But here's the kicker. The next wedding that she does actually involves the boy who broke her heart 15 years ago, Sebastian. So it's not awkward at all. So can Lena get over Sebastian, or is she just going to fall for him all over again? So here's what I loved about the book. I was a big fan of the dual timeline aspect of the story, especially when it goes back to when they were teenagers. I was a big fan of all the characters in the story, especially the best friend, Marin. And I actually couldn't believe that this was the debut novel from the author. It is such a good book. But I wasn't as keen on. The Jersey Shore backdrop setting was just so appealing in the book, and it made me want to go on holiday right now. In addition, I kind of felt like the book was maybe a bit too chill at times, and maybe a bit of a shock or surprise would have really elevated the story. I rated the book 4.25 stars, and I think this book would appeal to you if you really want some summery beach vibes and a second chance romance. Book number 3 was Once and Again by Rebecca Searle. Now, Lauren knows that all the women in the Novak family get the ability to turn back time, but only once in their life. She also knows that her mother used the gift to stop her dad from dying in a fatal car accident. And Lauren's kind of just waiting for her turn to use the gift. Her husband actually gets a new job in New York, and it means he's going to be spending a lot of time there. So Lauren decides to move back to Malibu to her childhood home, which is where she bumps into her childhood sweetheart, Stone, who broke her heart all those years ago. So here's what worked for me. I love magical realism, and I thought the premise was fascinating to be able to turn back time, but only once. In addition, this author always surprises me with where she takes the stories. Now, some of the cons for the story is I did question some of Lauren's decision making in the book, I'll be honest, and also it is a bit of a slower burn at the start. I rated the book 4 stars, and I think this book might be for you if you like a little bit of magic and also books that make you think as well. Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune is arc number 4. Now, Frankie is anxiously awaiting best friend forever George to attend her wedding because he's going to be her best man. She's not even sure if he's going to turn up though. When he does, she's incredibly happy. Until the day of her wedding when her husband to be dumps her with a note. So Frankie, broken and dejected, moves back home. Now it's months later and it's time for what would have been the honeymoon. And George actually suggests that they go away together and rest, recuperate, and maybe even heal their friendship too. So, some of my favourite parts of the book were Frankie and George's BFF status. I'm not jealous at all. The epic romance in the story. I also really loved the letter writing, the nature, and also the emotional parts as well. The bad parts, however, were everyone needs a George in their life. So, where is he? I rated this book 5 stars, and I think you would love this story if you love slow burn romances, childhood friends, and beautiful writing. Moving on to book number 5, we have Work Love Balance by Sophie Loxton. Lizzie has her life sorted, except for romance, but then who has time for that anyway, right? When Esme, her boss, links up with influencer Ajax, his right hand man is Oliver, who, although charismatic, is completely exasperating. So now Lizzie has to work with Oliver on a new dating app, and at least they get to go to Venice on a work trip. But whilst they're there, secrets are revealed. So can Lizzie fix this disaster, or are they going to get broken hearts in the crossfire? So, what are some of the good parts of the book? Lizzie has a very cheeky scamp of a cat called Pebble, who is a character in her own right, and I loved her. Now, Lizzie's character, she's very corporate on the outside, but she's very soft on the inside. And I really related to her because some of her favourite things are pajamas, tea, and her cat. You also get the holiday vibes from the work trip to Venice as well. But however, just be aware there is mention of toxic relationships in the story in case that might affect you. I rated this book 5 stars, and there was so much about it that I loved. Lizzie herself, obviously her cat, but also I felt like the book was really layered, especially with the emotional parts as well. Also, don't forget you do get the travel vibes when they go to Venice as well. Highland Getaway by Amber Eve is the next arc. Rosie Winter is ecstatic to have been invited to a prestigious Scottish Highlands retreat, and she jumps at the opportunity. But the only problem is that it was a case of mistaken identity, and she wasn't meant to have been invited at all. Now, Rosie isn't exactly the perfect fit for the retreat, and she's more of a high heels girl more than Muddy Well is. And the good looking, but annoying, groundskeeper Hunter can see right through her. But can Rosie realise that there's more to life than just living a perfectly curated life online? So here's what I liked about the story. I do love a book with a good social media angle to it. I find it fascinating the way the public can be manipulated in regards to the truth of what's happening. And in regards to that sort of plot line, there's also a competition in the story as well. There is a mystery or two as well. And the setting is obviously beautiful. It's set in the Scottish Highlands and also a luxurious hotel as well. Some parts that I wasn't as keen on were there are sadder parts, including where Rosie doesn't feel like she's fitting in. I rated the book 3.5 stars, and I think you'd like the story if you like Scotland, the social media angle, but also competitions as well. Book number 7 is from Ashley Poston, and I was so excited to receive this arc, The Someday Garden. Sophie takes on a temporary job at Lilymore House, trying to revitalise the gardens there. And she's absolutely in love with the hedge maze, the sweet smelling flowers. And then she notices the door. It's never in the same place twice, and it leads to a hidden garden. And inside, she finds a stormy man who's stuck there. There are other issues at Lilymore House, though. For example, the floor is resisting her care. The owner seems to think that the estate's going to be left to her annoyingly attractive nephew. Can Sophie work out how to make Lilymore House thrive again? Some of the parts I loved about the book were the setting is absolutely enchanting, as is the secret magical garden. There is a bad-tempered goose called Dammit, and obviously she is my favourite character in the story. There is also a magic 8-ball in the story, and I love how it's used. Some of the cons of the book are, though, there are some sadder parts, including grief, but please don't let that put you off. They are actually some of my favourite parts of the story. I rated the book 5 stars, and I really think you'd love the story if you love magical settings, friendship, and also an emotional read. Book number 8, I actually saw someone else's review on this, and I thought this book sounds like it could be for me. As You Wish by Danica Brown. Honey Braxton is an auditor for the Bureau of Magical Compliance, and wishing wells are her specialty. She's absolutely unemotional in her final decisions, and her audits are always to the letter. She's been sent to single dad of 3 Ethan Hale's orchard, where it does appear that his children have been using the wishing well to try and keep the farm running. So it's a very clear-cut case. All Honey needs to do is take back the unauthorised wishes, write her report, and then leave. So why is she struggling to follow the rules this time? So here are some of my favourite parts of the book. My favourite character is called Pickles, and he is the goat, as in he's a goat. In addition, I do love magic in the story, and the romance is really sweet as well. But my least favourite parts of the book were, honestly, I couldn't really think of any. This story is just so super cute. I rated this book 5 stars, and I think you'd really enjoy it if you love magical settings, grumpy sunshine tropes, and also just a real cozy vibe overall. Moving on to book number 9, we have Two Sisters by Laura Doctrill. Leonie and Nora, two sisters, complete opposites. Leonie is adventurous and unafraid, and she left the Isle of Pitt to kind of find her next little quest. She wasn't ever planning to come back. Nora, however, is more of a homebody, and she's the responsible one. So when Leonie does come back to the island, she's expecting her sister's calm and soothing persona to help her recuperate. Unfortunately, what she finds is Nora kind of feels astray herself. So can the sisters help each other, or are they just going to hurt each other, like family can do so well? So what were some of the points I liked about the book? So you have the focus on the two complete opposite sisters, obviously, and their different issues. You also have mental health rep, and you get the small cozy island vibes as well. But some of the parts I wasn't as keen on were, unfortunately, the writing style. I was such a huge fan of I Love You, I Love You, I Love You, which was the author's other adult book. And I loved her writing style in that. And it just felt kind of opposite to what was in this book. In addition, there were parts in this story where I was kind of just like waiting for something else to happen. I rated the book 3.5 stars, and I think you might like this book if you like sibling tension, small island vibes, but also mental health rep as well. Now it's book number 10, which is The Name Game by Beth O'Leary. Charlie Jones is really looking forward to starting her new life on the Isle of Ulmer. She's now the manager of the only farm shop on the island, and she really can't wait to begin and forget her old life. This is a fresh start for her. However, Charlie Jones has also just arrived on the island to start his new life, and he was thrilled to get the job at the only farm shop on the island, see where this is going, and planned to turn over a new leaf and forget the bad memories. Both Charlies are really excited to start their new lives until they are introduced to each other. So, what were some of my favourite parts of the book? Obviously, you have the mystery of who is Charlie Jones. You also have some surprises as well in the story. I also love the fact that the book is based on a real place called the Isle of Sark, which is a small island where there's no cars, there's no street lights, etc. I always love when books are based on kind of real places. It's just fascinating to me. But some of the parts I wasn't as keen on. I wasn't a fan of the writing style for the book, unfortunately. It's written as diary entries and emails, and it just means you can't really get as in depth in that writing style. I was also definitely confused at points. I rated the book 3 stars, and I think you'd really like this story if you like the small, cozy island vibes, a mystery or two, plus the work rivals trope as well. And finally, last but not least, we have Coupling Up by Joe Lyons. Meet Libby. The most adventurous thing she's done recently is to buy an air fryer. So she's really out of her comfort zone when she decides to swap places with her twin sister to take part on TV reality show Love on the Island. She's surrounded by muscle men, Botox babes, and also a producer who just seems intent to humiliate her. She does catch feelings, however, but for the producer of the show, Cameron. Now, obviously, if she wants to spend more time with Cam, she's going to need to try and at least compete a bit in the show. Otherwise, she'll be sent home, obviously. So, should Libby stay true to herself, or should she play the game to try and win the ultimate prize, true love? So, some of the things that I loved about the story were there's a romance you can root for. Again, I've said this before, but I do love when there's social media in a story and how it's used to manipulate the public's opinion. Also, Cam is definitely my type on paper. But what were some of the parts I wasn't as keen on? This book was too short. I would have happily read more about Libby and Cameron's story. And obviously, this is a joke. I really love the story. I rated it 5 stars, and I think you'd enjoy this book if you love Love Island, reality TV show, and a romance that you can really root for. So that is all the books that I read as arcs with the theme of summer and or travel. I had a lot of fun reading them, and I definitely found some new favourite authors as well. I really wanted to pick books that really gave that sort of summer holiday sort of vibe, and these arcs definitely delivered that. I couldn't believe that I rated 5 arcs out of the 11 as 5 stars because I don't give out 5 stars easily. Now tell me in the comments below, which of these arcs do you think you would like the sound of? In addition, if you have enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing because it does help out the channel a lot. And if you are a fan of holiday vibe sort of books, I think you might like this video here.